Mexico. Just over the horizon lay the sleepy little village of Mucho Loma. English translation, much mud. Folk who dwelled there were so tuckered out, sloshing their way through the streets, they spent most of the day and night regaining their strength.
Tell me, Jose, you old stick in the mud. Are you too tired to play tiddlywinks?
I too tired to tiddly, but I gonna take 40 winks.
It was just about then that Guadalupe Rodriguez made his untimely entrance into Mucho Loma.
It will be chilly today, but a tamale, but oh by golly, blame it all on Sam or Sally.
The arms of Morpheus were fractured.
Hey, you with the big mouth, you are under arrest.
What for I under arrest, Senor Sheriff?
City Ordinance numero 425, being a loudmouth during siesta.
It was 1 year later that a tight-lipped Guadalupe walked out of jail, mounted his loyal steed, rode at least 200 miles without saying a word, halted in the middle of nowhere, and said...
Dirty cotton-picking town!
Revenge had burned deep into his tone-deaf head, and his plan for attaining it was at the very least bizarre. First, he stole a branding iron, one with an O at the end. Next, he made off with a black cowboy suit that had once been worn by Sunset Carson. That night, when all of Mucho Loma was peacefully slumbering, a masked rider galloped in and raised an unbelievable ruckus.
Hey, everybody up! Nobody go to sleep! The dam is breaking! Rise and shine, open it up!
Lights were frantically lit, but not the citizens. They stumbled out of their beds, alarmed by the uproar.
Doggone, this mud is ruining my Dr. Denton's.
Don't worry about the mud. Look what's coming.
Down the street he dashed, pausing long enough to stab his hot branding iron here, there, everywhere.
The mark of 0.
Thus begins a terrible tale, a tale of endless nights in which the masked marauder tormented the town, not so much as allowing a child to close its eyes in sleep. Red-eyed, thoroughly distraught, the town council held an emergency meeting.
Senores, please, no bickering. Now, we must hire someone to capture this notorious night rider with the big mouth. Any suggestions?
Let's call in the Lone Ranger.
No, he's got problems of his own. He just found out Tanto is a girl.
Suppose we leave this perplexed group and look in on our heroes, Rocky and Bullwinkle, whose touring sedan has come to an unscheduled stop atop a hill overlooking Mucho Loma.
I think we made a wrong turn when we left Tallahassee.
Well, you had the map, Bullwinkle.
I had what map, Rock?
The one I told you to keep under your hat.
This is not a hat. This is a hat rack. Jack, Abednego.
Well, chances are we're lost then and probably out of gas.
I shall check the gas tank.
And so he did while Rocky surveyed the town below.
Sure hope there's a garage down there.
Well, I checked the gas tank. It's still there.
I know it's there. Is there any gas in it?
I shall check.
Oh.
Say, Rock, I can't see inside the tank. Got a match?
You strike a match and we'll blow up.
It must be a joke. Bullwinkle was smart enough not to use a match.
You're right, sir. I shall use my lighter.
You couldn't call it a complete mistake, for it not only catapulted the moose back into the car, but sent it reeling down the hill at a breakneck clip. And of all things, right at the Mucho Loma Town Hall. Will they get together? Will they hit it off right? Don't miss The Boys Bounce Back or Springtime in the Rocky.
Back in the days when everyone was on the Snow White kick, scallywags and roustabouts had an easy time of it.
Your money or your life?
Oh, that's easy. You can take my wife.
Not your wife, your life.
It's funnier my way, but take my purse.
Statistics showed that crime was rampant, especially in a tiny kingdom known as Easy Pickens. The people there used to set their watches by the number of robberies that occurred.
What time do you have?
Let me see. The blacksmith is being held up, so it must be 11:15.
This might have gone on indefinitely had it not been for the arrival of a jolly gentleman on a black donkey whose name was Mule.
Whoa!
Romuald.
His name was Schuyler Sugg, and his hobby was preventing crime.
Your money or your wife?
Shillelagh appeared as if by magic, and the robber was thwarted. What's more, Mr. Sugg spent the next 7 days in wielding his shillelagh in the cause of justice.
Citizens of Easy Pickens, we owe a great deal to Schuyler Sugg.
It comes to $43.12.
He has not only cleaned out the town, but he's cleaned out the town treasury.
Sugg opened a tiny but adequate detective agency and proceeded to solve any and all mysteries.
I lost my pet cow, Mr. Sugg.
You'll find him inside the counter at the butcher store at 89 cents a pound. He's on special, too.
Somebody's been stealing eggs from our chicken house, Mr. Sugg. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you eating your breakfast.
Be with you as soon as I finish these coddled eggs.
And there's no doubt of it, fellow villagers. Schuyler Sugg is our man of the year.
Yay! I don't know what to say, Mr. Mayor. Yay!
That's when the trouble started. It was one of the coldest winters on record. And a massive fog bank sprang up out of the lower valleys and blanketed the area. It didn't stay very long, but it left behind something. For there, in the middle of a once vacant meadow, stood a black castle.
Must be one of those prefab jobs.
It was then he noticed that not a door or a window was to be seen.
You in there! Lower the drawbridge!
No answer. Just the cold, clammy wind whistling through the turrets.
Better send a wire to Alfred Hitchcock.
The news spread through the town like wildfire, and by noon, everyone was standing before the huge castle.
It's black magic, that's what it is.
Nonsense, Mr. Mayor. Here, boys, take these torches and set fire to the place.
But suppose there's a witch in there.
We'll smoke her out.
Under Sugg's direction, the villagers set the castle on fire. Or at least they tried to.
The castle won't burn, Mr. Sugg.
What do you mean it won't burn? You can smell the smoke.
But the smoke was coming from a nearby forest.
Why, it's supernatural, that's what it is. We set the castle on fire and the forest burns up.
Poppycock and Balderdash and all those other reindeer.
The others were too frightened to move. Not Schuyler Sugg, though. He carried a huge sack of gunpowder to the edge of the moat, lit a fuse, and then swung the sack around and finally flung it high over the castle wall.
Watch. Any second now. Boom!
They watched in breathless silence, waiting for the blast. And they got what they were waiting for. Unfortunately, it wasn't the castle that blew up. It was half the village. Sugg was in for a fight.
Boy, we better keep an eye on this castle.
You'd better get some sleep, Schuyler. You've got an awful lot of work to do tomorrow.
I have got an awful lot of work to do right now.
Extracting a magnifying glass from his pocket, Schuyler left the warm fire to probe the back side of the castle.
I'll take over while you're sleuthing.
Nothing happened for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then, suddenly, the drawbridge of the castle slowly came down.
What'll we do, Mr. Mayor?
Only one thing to do. We've got to go inside.
Brave words indeed. Thus the mayor, in fact, the remainder of the village, went slowly across the drawbridge and into the Black Castle. No sooner did they enter than the drawbridge mysteriously went up, sealing one and all inside. Dawn was late in coming, and so was Schuyler Sugg, who had gotten lost in the pitch darkness and spent most of the night home in bed.
Good morning,
A chill ran through him. There was no one left.
They were such wonderful folks. They were always trying to do something for me.
His hair, what was left of it, stood on end, as once more the drawbridge came down. Would he be able to summon enough courage to go in alone and uncover the secret?
Heavens, no! I am not going in there!
Oh, go on, Mr. Sugg. We'll be right behind you. Go ahead. Now, open the door.
Surprise! Surprise! Happy birthday, Schuyler!
Them's my kind of people. Concern 'em.
Enchilada lovers unite, For in our preceding installment, that pail-banging, cymbal-crashing, cap-shooting desperado Zero gained his vengeance upon the Mexican village of Mucho Loma by keeping them awake nights.
We're not doing so well during the days also.
I wasn't too sure myself that Rocky and Bullwinkle would be in this story until we saw them parked high on the hill just above the town.
I don't see any signs saying this is Mulholland Drive.
Neither do I. I'm afraid we're lost.
They were also perilously low on fuel.
And you know what they say? There's no fuel like I haven't got the guts to finish it.
A check of the gas tank brought immediate results.
Bullwinkle, you ought to know better than to expose a lighter to a gas tank.
That was last episode, Rock. This is this one.
Down the hill they rode in a direct line for the town hall.
Senors, something tells me that help is on the way.
They were on the way, all right.
Caramba, our beautiful town hall is a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess hall now.
Honest, fellas, we're awfully sorry this happened. You see...
But the forthright little squirrel couldn't explain his way out of it. In jig time, they were in a cell.
Say, Mr. Sheriff, could you tell us what we're in for?
For about 3 years.
Hokey smoke!
Oh, chin up, Rock. That'll go by like 1,095 days.
There was one consolation. At least they could get some sleep, or so they thought. Sure enough, no sooner did the sun go down than Zero made another attack.
Can you see what's going on, Bullwinkle?
Yeah, there's a guy who looks like Warner Baxter out there.
Oh, it couldn't be Warner Baxter.
How about Warner Brothers?
All night long, a figure in black galloped back and forth, creating a horrendous racket. It wasn't until dawn that he retreated back into the hills.
Well, at least now we can get some shut-eye.
No, senores. It's time for you to receive your sentence.
But you told us last night we'd gotten 3 years.
That was for destroying the town hall. Now you get a second term for destroying the mayor's apartment.
We in Mucho Loma, English translation much mod, are very forgiving.
You hear that, Rock? He is forgiving us.
See, I am all for giving you 99 years in jail. However, I'm going to cut that down to 98 years.
Your Honor, you do that and you'll never catch that noise-making bandit.
Momento, senores. What do you know about Zero?
He used to run around with a little fella named Glorioski.
Right, and we're the only ones who can make him stop riding through town. But we'll only do it if you let us go free.
If we let you go after Zero, how do we know you won't stop until you are out of the country?
Hold a hostage.
Sure, we'll let you keep the sheriff here.
It's all right by you, Sheriff?
All right.
An hour or so later, no, I guess it was more like a half hour. Well, check that. Make it 45 minutes. Our plucky heroes left on their perilous quest.
Narrator sounds a little confused.
Yeah, must be the tropic zone.
No, it's my watch. Anyway, although they scoured the area, not a sign of Zero did they find.
No sense in going any farther. Let's camp before it gets dark.
Do you think it's safe? I mean, that Zero guy's liable to sneak up on us and...
This was one of the few times the moose was right. For while they set up camp, directly above them on a plateau stood a huge boulder. The same unsteady boulder we've used many times before. And behind it, already hard at work prying it loose, was Zero. Oh, drop anything important to catch our next thrilling episode, Rock Meets Rock, or Thud and Blunder.
Hello there, sailors and other poetry fans. Today's salty yarn is a poem by that old ancient mariner, Alan Cunningham. Oh, a wet sheet and a flowing sea, a wind that follows fast and fills the tight and rustling sail and bends the gallant mast.
Bullwinkle!
And bends the gallant mast, my boys, while...
Bullwinkle, isn't your gallant mast bending a little too far?
Mr. Cunningham says that's how it's gotta be.
Now what are you doing?
I'm balancing the boat by, flipping the jib.
Flipping the jib?
Certainly, see? It's balanced.
Yeah, but suppose the wind changes.
Silly squirrel. Mr. Cunningham says it never changes this time of day.
Moose overboard!
Yeah. Oh, a wet seat and a flowing sea.
Mr. Cunningham says it's a wet sheet.
He knows what he's got. I know what I got.
Hello again, Peabody and Sherman here.
Here it is, Mr. Peabody.
What Sherman in the world is that?
It's a wig.
I see. What am I supposed to do with it?
You said that today you'd showed me how to make it warm.
Oh, no, not wig warm, wigwam, as in teepee.
Oh.
As long as we're on the subject, let's take the Wayback Machine to the year 1886.
Are we going to visit a wigwam manufacturer?
In a way, yes. For today, we shall smoke the peace pipe of one of history's most famous Indians, Geronimo. We set the Wayback Controls for the territory of Arizona, and just like that, we were standing in the parade grounds of Fort Heathen. Obviously, there was an important conference going on.
Great White Father back in Washington, D.C. want peace.
Geronimo want them peace, too. Piece of Arizona, piece of New Mexico, piece of Colorado.
Now, look here. Either you sign this peace treaty, I'm going to put you in a guardhouse.
You joshing.
Oh, yeah? Arrest him, man.
Oh, hold it. Me sign 'em treaty. But first, we smoke 'em peace pipe.
We watched in fascination as Geronimo lit the long pipe and sent puffs of thick smoke into the air.
Boy, he sure can puff.
Indeed, he could. Inside of 40 seconds, the parade ground looked more like Los Angeles. And when the smoke cleared...
All right, Geronimo, sign this here treaty.
But Geronimo was no longer with us. He had used the pipe for a smoke screen.
Call out the men. Get that engine and shoot him, dead or alive.
But jeepers, Mr. General.
Jeepers?
That's an expression all children in cartoons use.
If you shoot Geronimo, he won't be able to sign the peace treaty.
Depends on where you shoot him.
Sherman is right, General Crook. Geronimo must sign the peace treaty.
There ain't a man brave enough to go after him armed with just a pen.
Mr. Peabody's brave enough.
Oh, jeepers, Sherman. We took the treaty and exited the fort.
How'll we ever find him?
We won't. We'll let him find us. Hours later, we came to a halt beside a large tree. All right, Sherman, let me have your penknife, please.
You gonna carve your initials, Mr. Peabody?
No, I'm going to carve a horse. A few cuts here, a few cuts there, and I had whittled the tree down into a hobby horse.
And he even rocks.
Quiet, Sherman, we have company.
Hey, that fine-looking animal you got him there.
Why, yes, that's Son of Oak out of Tree.
You sell him?
What'll you give?
Autographed picture of Tonto and 2 tickets to Knott's Berry Farm.
Wow!
That's not enough, I'm afraid. I'll tell you what. You sign this peace treaty, and Son of Oak is yours.
Honest Injun?
I certainly hope so. Geronimo took out a pen and was about to affix his signature to the document when...
Yippee! Ride 'em, cowboy!
What gives with horse? Him no run, him rock.
Well, it's a new type of gallop.
You keep 'em. Me no want 'em.
And with that, Geronimo disappeared. Well, Sherman, having fun?
You bet.
Good. When you're through, we'll resume chasing Geronimo.
You mean he's gone? Doesn't he like this horse? Gee.
Don't say it, Sherman. I picked up Son of Oak, and we struck off into the wilderness. The next morning, a trifle tired, perhaps, we walked into Geronimo's camp.
Is dog and boy with horse that runs in same spot.
Geronimo, I challenge you to a race. You ride your fastest pony. I shall ride Son of Oak.
Mr. Peabody!
I know, Sherman. Jeepers.
What kind of steaks we race for? Top sirloin?
I see you have a sense of humor. The stakes are these. If you win, Sherman and I will be your personal butlers for a period of 1 year.
Crazy.
If you lose, you sign this peace treaty.
You got 'em deal.
But, Mr. Peabody, you can't outrun a live horse.
Oh, can't I? Geronimo went to his corral and selected a giant of a stallion.
Me set.
And I will be in a second. To everyone's amazement, I picked up Son of Oak and scrambled up the nearest telegraph pole.
Hey, what you do on top of wire that sings?
This is what I'm going to run on. Sherman, say...
Go!
And the race was on. Geronimo urged his steed forward while I merely set Son of Oak's rockers on the telegraph wires. One slight push, and we were skidding on our way in record-breaking time. Not only did I outrun Geronimo, but he had the misfortune to try to gallop across Grand Canyon, while Son of Oak and I merely coasted above it.
You won, Mr. Peabody!
Yes, and Geronimo signed the peace treaty.
Gee, that fall left him in a pretty tattered condition.
Well, that's how his Indian tribe got their name.
I don't get it.
Well, that's Apache Indian, if ever I saw one.
The last time we looked in on Mucho Loma, it was staggering under the nightly attacks of a noisy night rider.
Okay, everybody out of the pool. Nobody gonna sleep. Here we go. 23 skidoo.
Actually, this night rider is Guadalupe Rodriguez.
Oh, please, to vamos, Senor Loudmouth. We must get some eye shot.
Never. I have sworn revenge upon this town. Jole!
The night rider became known as the notorious desperado Zero.
That's my mark.
Luckily or unluckily, depending on whose side you're on, Rocky and Bullwinkle entered Mucho Loma and were hauled before the judge.
99 years in jail.
But what for, Your Honor?
For jaywalking.
That's jaywarding.
Whatever it was, the only way of evading imprisonment was to go out and bring Zero in. Just as we closed last time, the boys were encamped at the base of a towering plateau, unaware that the crafty Zero was attempting to smash their plans.
I gonna smash something else besides plans.
Meanwhile, just below...
Sure wish I had a pillow to rest my sleepy head upon.
Try a rock.
I don't seem to have a rock.
Here, I'll toss one.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't need a mountain. You probably would have thrown the world.
Shh! Somebody's up there.
And somebody up there doesn't like us.
It seemed like a good idea to camp somewhere else, but no matter where they tried to bed down, some large, definitely hostile object always seemed to come perilously close.
See, that's what I told you. This Zero is gonna be tough to capture.
We'll find another way, that's all. Say, those wanted posters, could any of those people be Zero?
I doubt it. This one here is Joaquin behind you.
What's he wanted for?
Don't you think a name like that is criminal? Senor behind you is serving time in Guadalajara.
Well, he can't be Zero.
This next one is Chichi Vasquez, a very shady lady.
What did she do, sell umbrellas?
Well, she can't be Zero either.
Of course not. She's a lady.
That's no lady, that's my wife.
Look at this last poster, Bullwinkle.
Guadalupe Rodriguez, wanted for singing songs.
Well, let's look him up. You never know. He could be Zero.
Once more, the little squirrel had hit the nail on the head. For at that very moment, near a well on the fringe of town, Guadalupe was washing his branding iron, the iron that Zero used to leave his mark.
Oh, senorita, there is mosquito buzzing on your nose. Pretty Chiquita, life would be sweeter if your mouth was closed. La 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 la.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Who is there?
It is us, Rocket J. Moose and Bullwinkle J. Squirrel. That isn't us.
We'd like to have a few words with you, Mr. Rodriguez.
How many words? One or two?
Say, that's a dandy-looking sword you're polishing.
This? Oh, my goodness.
Why are you trying to hide it? Say, that's a branding iron with a zero at the end.
You must be a rustler.
Rustler, my eye, he's Zero.
Oh, please, senors. I'm a victim of circumstance.
Well, I'm afraid you'll have to tell that to the sheriff.
Ah, but before they could apprehend the wily bandit, he whistled, and out came Esmeralda, who sized up the situation and used her head accordingly. Will it be a long, wet winter for our heroes? The answer lies in a watery grave, or drown among the sheltering palms.